Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to Deliverance from Addiction. Greetings, everyone. After I made recorded my last video, which is entitled "Drugs Are Not a Coping Mechanism," and after I posted it, I realized, man, I have a coping mechanism story from my past that would have been perfect to share in that video, and it never entered my mind at the time I was filming and recording my last video. So consider this video an addendum to my last video. So this is my coping mechanism story. Even though I've never touched drugs a day in my life, haven't touched alcohol in 15 plus years, I do have a coping mechanism story. But for me, my coping mechanism was an online game that I had been playing for several years. And I kind of I did get addicted to it. So this story goes back to 2018, and which is still to this day I consider the worst year of my life. It was the year that both my father and that dear friend of mine who passed away of a drug overdose, the person I referred to as Marie in my book, who was the impetus for the beginning of this ministry, passed away 6 months after my father did. Now, the coping mechanism story happened, like I said, like when started with my dad's, in the beginning of 2018, my dad's health started rapidly declining. And I realized and he was 83 at the time, so I realized the inevitable was coming sooner rather than later. So I thought I had prepared myself over a number of years, because when you know your parents get to that age, you know the inevitable is coming. So you think you're better prepared for it than if a loved one passed away unexpectedly, like Marie did. So my dad was finally diagnosed with COPD emphysema in January of 2018, which I suspected he had been suffering from for many years, because my mother died from the same thing, and he displayed a lot of same symptoms. So one day he had fallen at home and hit his head on the wall, and I had to force him to go to the hospital to get checked for a concussion. And while he was there, I pulled the doctor aside and asked him to check Dad to see if he had the emphysema, to check him for it, because I had a strong suspicion he did. And my dad was one of those type of people who hated going to doctors, and he even told me if I had something seriously wrong with me, I'd rather not know. Well, it turns out he had something seriously wrong with him. And he did indeed have the COPD emphysema, and it was in the late stages. So fast forward, after he found out, he slowly declined over the next 3 months, and by March of 2018, he had passed away. And after he passed away, I wasn't as prepared for my newfound responsibilities as I thought I was. Even though Dad left me a little nest egg, as an inheritance. He left me like $2,300, in his bank account as inheritance, because I'm the only child, so I inherited everything. I inherited, whatever money he had in his bank account. I inherited the house that I still live in to this day. But I found myself engrossing myself in my online game that I've been playing for a number of years. And I had, even before Dad's health issues, I had been playing it. I would come home from work and play for 2 to 3 hours at a time every night when I used to come home from work. And to me at the time, it was just a way to blow off steam after a hard day at work, to relax. And never thought much of it. But after Dad's passing, I just engrossed myself into it more. And I even recognized I was using it as a coping mechanism at the time, but I didn't really have any adverse feelings about it or inclinations towards it. And I remember after doing this for a while, and my best friend who was living with me at the time saw me in my room playing my game on my phone, and she said, and she jokingly said, and this is my best friend who used to be a hardcore drug addict, she said to me, I see you have a little addiction going there. And I jokingly responded back, yeah, I have a $150 a week habit. And yes, I was spending $150 a week on that online game. And I was spending all the money in Dad's account on that game. I wasn't spending my own money that I earned at my job. I was spending my inheritance on that game, $150 a week. So, and then after a while, and then when my best friend's sister was the one who passed away from drug overdose 6 months later, I was hurting so much I engrossed myself in that game even more. And after a while, the consequences caught up with me. I wound up with a gas and electric bill that was $1,400, and a water bill that was well over $500 because I was spending all the money in my game and not paying my utility bills. And it finally caught up with me, and I wound up having a shut-off notice on both the gas and the water, which by the grace of God, I was narrowly able to avoid getting shut off on both of those. And it took me a while to dig out that hole because I had to have, the past due balances added onto my monthly balances, and, say I was paying my gas and electric bill, I was paying $140 a month. Well, now I was paying $250 a month because just trying to catch up on what I owed. So I put a steeper financial burden on myself to get caught up, because consequences. Your actions have consequences, whether you realize them or not. And good consequences, bad consequences. Good actions have good consequences. Bad actions have bad consequences. So, but I was using that online game as a coping mechanism. And like I said, I even realized I was using it as a coping mechanism at the time. But I kept on going on it. And it became bad, so bad, that about, I don't know, maybe several months, 4, 5, 6, 7 months after that dear friend of mine passed away from drug overdose, God had to tell me to put the game down. And it was hard for me to put it down. Not only because I was obsessed, but the game I was involved with, I had responsibilities in the game because of the community that was involved in our alliance in the game. And I was one of the stronger players in our alliance, and I felt like I would be letting people down in my alliance if I didn't continue to go and get stronger, because that's the way that type of game is. It's one of those pay to win kind of games, strategy games. So it was difficult for me to put down, but when I put it down, it was so liberating. I can't tell you how liberating that was. And then instead of playing on that game, I focused on something that God had told me to do 6 months prior that I had completely ignored, and that was working on my book. So I started getting going in that. That was the very next day after I made that quality decision, put down the game. I started working on my book, and the inspiration just started flowing, and that's the positive aspect to that. So just realize coping mechanisms are not a healthy reaction to adversity. You deal with your adversity head on. Get healing from your adversity. And for me, that healing came through God and God's healing. And He was one able to heal my hurt from my dad's loss and the loss of my dear friend. Even though it took months for my heart to heal, He was able to heal it. And if He could do it for me, He could do it for you, because He said in the Bible, God is no respecter of persons. He could do it for me, He could do it for you. So I hope this encourages everyone, and I hope to see you all soon. Until then, God bless, and have a great day. Before I let you go today, I want to bring to your attention a resource which I believe will be beneficial to you in your process of becoming free from addiction. Of course, this resource is my new book entitled Deliverance from Addiction, Breaking the Yoke and Healing the Hurt. In this powerful new book, you will learn about the key element that is missing in most addiction recovery programs. This missing element helps to break the bondage that keeps an addict in a never-ending cycle of addiction. Go to deliveranceFromAddictionBook.com to purchase your copy today and learn more. See the link in the description below. If you found the information in this video of value to you, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to help this channel grow and to help us reach more people in need of hope. And remember, overcoming addiction and achieving lasting freedom from addiction is possible through deliverance from addiction. And that true deliverance only comes through Jesus. Until next time, God bless and stay safe.